So, guys, today I want to talk about the time I candy flipped with Jesus. Let's get right into it. Alright, so basically, I was in a period of time where I was like in a relationship with this absolute thotty, you know what I'm saying? And I found out that like he has some snacks in his cabinet. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't just a dry Cheerio. Like he was like a cinnamon Cheerio. Like he had some snacks in his cabinet too. Like for a while, he was like, no, you can't really be touching the snacks. But as like I grew in my faith, he was like, yeah, I have some snacks in my cabinet, believe it or not. So I was like, bet. So I started watching like one of like my spiritual cousins on YouTube, right? He led me to this guy. And he led me to this guy on YouTube, and like he was just talking to me weird. He's like, yeah, you're like my older brother. I'm like, what? It's like, yeah, you're like, I've been doing this for a while. I've been making like Christian videos, and you're like my older brother for no fucking reason. And I'm off so much Molly. I'm like, say less. Say fucking less. You're literally a disciple. How am I your older brother? Say less. So, I found out this guy was on some Molly, so I knew this plug, right? And I hit him up for two pills and some acid. I'm like, okay, this acid is still medicine at this point for me, you know what I'm saying? I haven't really escaped the third dimension enough at this point to realize, yeah, I'm just gonna be like staying in this dimension, and it's gonna be like game ended type shit. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be fucking game ended. I'm gonna be like, what are you talking about? I'm supposed to be breaking through layers. It's not like game over. You know what I'm saying? And then you're like, whoa, what the fuck? And it's like, whoa, wait, what's over? You know what I'm saying? Fuck. Okay, bet. Anyways, that's besides the point. Yeah, I picked up some acid, probably like 10 tabs and like 2 pills. Now, I had this friend, and he had a hot tub. Now, I didn't take Molly for a while before this point, right? So I popped a Molly and took like a couple tabs of acid, went to this friend's house, and I told him I was on this shit. And he's like, yo, I'm not really like fucking with this, but we can still hang out, you know what I mean? He was like that. He was like, I'm really not fucking with this at all. So yeah, we just chilled in his hot tub, and it was blessed. I was just candy flipping in a hot tub, and I like freestyled it. I was like, fire. You know what I mean? Like, I could just freestyle like that. It's probably the Molly, but that's not the whole story. There's candy flipping with Jesus. This is candy flipping with Jesus, so some of his, like, thotty daughters have to be involved, right? The next day, I still had some more Molly and acid. And I was like, I want to take this for sure. But I was watching YouTube before I decided to do this, and I came across this YouTuber that was actually sent to like be my servant. You know what I mean? He was like my servant, and I was like King Alexander type shit. Like we were doing this. He was like, yeah, you're like huge. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's not like no. Like Shotty says I'm huge, but I haven't really got to like learn this shit yet, you know what I mean? I haven't really got to like what are you talking about, you know what I mean? So he was like, yeah, you're like fucking Alexander the Great, I'm your fucking servant, and basically you're just gonna be fucking thotties, you know what I mean? Just like absolute 20s. I'm like, bet. I'm like, what do you mean 20s? He's like, these bitches are gonna be like 28 and 30. I'm like, whoa. But like, there's like some 22s, right? He's like, yeah, for sure. I'm like, bet. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, I at this point, I'm rocking with Jesus, right? I'm like, this guy's a fucking rock star. This guy's a fucking rock star. What is this guy getting me into? And like, off the blanket, nonetheless, but that day, I popped another Molly pill and took some more acid. I might have even popped a few Xans just because I was taking acid, you know what I mean? It's better to do that when you take acid. Or like some Molly with it. Candy flipping's better than taking just acid. But yeah, I did that. And I literally felt like I was a yogurt cup. I felt like a fucking yogurt cup just sitting on my couch. And, like, that wasn't the only thing. At this point, I just learned I'm fucking Alexander the Great. And Jesus is a fucking rock star, and he wants to let me fuck all his daughters. I'm like, okay, I'm going straight to the psych ward where all the thotties are, you know what I'm saying? But that's besides the point. Yeah, if you don't know, the psych ward nurses are absolute, like, 11s. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not talking 11 years old. I mean, like, 28s and shit. Like, shit like that. Like, 18 plus for sure. If we're talking about ratings. But, yeah, I'm like, that's where I should be right now. So I'm like, let me just take 10 more tabs of acid. No, I'm joking. I didn't do that. But, yeah, I felt like a fucking yogurt cup. So I'm like, bet. At this point, as I said, I just learned that I'm Alexander the Great. And I'm gonna be fucking these thighs. So I'm like, I'm a yogurt cup, and I'm gonna be a smashed yogurt cup. Oh, this is just fucking amazing, isn't it? This is just fucking amazing. So, I went to watch my servant a bit more while I was off in this Molly, and I found out that he had some rough times. Like, I actually enslaved him and shit, and, like, ate him up through the phone screen. Like, prior to this happening, like, months earlier, he's like, oh, remember that time where you just turned me into a fucking spring roll through your phone screen? I'm like, oh, you're my servant now. Who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, pound it up. He's like, yeah, for sure. Yeah, so basically that's that. And this brings me to my next story, which is, from this point, there was a border I wanted to cross, but it wasn't the same border I'm trying to cross now. I wanted to turn into a fucking light bulb to light up this guy's world, so I bought a lot of fucking Molly. That's the next story. Actually, no, let's just tell that story right now. So, basically, from this point on, I was like, okay, I'm really fucking with this Molly. I need to buy some more. So, I got $1,500 on my bank account, bought 30 tabs of acid, and spent the rest on Molly. So, it was like over an ounce of Molly. And I'm like, this is fucking great. Now, there's not much to this shit. It's basically, I just took a lot. Like, I was taking, like, this is why I didn't make it a whole different story, because there's not much to it, but I was taking, like, 2 grams a day and shit. And I felt like I was in, like, a roller coaster seat, just, like, levitating out of my seat and shit, and, like, bouncing up and down. It was fucking crazy. But, yeah, I was taking, like, 2 grams a day, then maybe, like, 3. Then one day I probably took, like, 4 grams. I just wouldn't stop. Probably getting closer to 5 grams of Molly. And, oh, I got sick. I got fucking sick, and my head was shaking and shit. But, like, everything tasted and smelled like fucking cow. Like, rotten cow. I'm like, what the fuck? I had a bunch of these, antipsychotic meds, even though, as if you've seen it, is my Molly a psychedelic video? It's not. I took acid too, like, earlier. Like, I just had these antipsychotics, so I'm like, I gotta try these, you know what I mean? So, I took, like, a bunch of them, like, you're not supposed to, and I got, like, high off these, so now I'm, like, sick, tasting cow off this Molly, smelling straight cow rotten guts, and I'm just off all these antipsychotic meds. I'm like, oh my god. So, that, I went to sleep eventually, because I was making tired. It wore off, and then my mom stole the bag of Molly. All this fucking money just gone. But that's gonna be the story. Kind of a sloppy one, but yo, I was in some nasty cow pussy. Let me tell you about sloppy, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. That's me candy flipping with Jesus, and then buying over an ounce of Molly and 30 tabs of acid. So yeah, watch out for more stories. The other ones should be more lit. I just have to get this off my chest, you know what I'm saying?